is a beautiful day for some DSA, and welcome back to the Cozy Club. It is here. The Forbidden Depths has made its way to DSA, and I'm here. I vanquished the Sea Witch, and I'm here for some tips and tricks to help you and your club best successfully take down the Sea Witch, my friends. All right, guys, we're going to be going through all the phases. It's a raid overview in depth. We'll be going through each and every phase, talking about the best strategies, the abilities. Visually, you can see every ability and what the enemy raid bosses will be throwing at you and your club. So giving you the best chance of you and 50 other clubmates. Hopefully you have 50 other clubmates or friends, but even if it's 20, 30 of you, this is going to best prepare you on how to take down the hardest thing we've seen come to DSA yet. If you haven't already, feel free to join one of these amazing communities. Down in the description below, we've got our Discord, the Cozy Club, which will have awesome tips and tricks on all aspects of the game, but especially we are raid focused on how to help everybody, both free to play and pay to play, make their way through the Forbidden Depths. Also, I have my Twitter here. If you want to talk to me, have the best chance of asking questions and me to help you out with whatever aspects of the game that you might have. I post a lot on Twitter, not only just about my personal life, but I post a lot about the game. We do surveys, questions, and everything in between. And lastly, we've got the Twitch stream, guys. If you haven't already, you are missing out if you've not joined the Twitch stream, my friends. It's an absolute riot. We go through all these different segments, the wheel of characters. We do some great, awesome death matches, and recently we've been going through every phase in the raid, and I am taking my own crack at Ursula. You guys can see how I take on Ursula in each phase, and in the live chat, I try to answer your guys' questions, help you guys out along the way. Guys, I'm excited about this video. It's been in preparation for a while. Let's get to phase 1. All right, Cozy Club, to kick off the Forbidden Depths, we're going to be going into phase 1 versus Glut the Shark. And let me tell you, these depths are forbidden for a reason. Glut is actually one of the harder phases within the raid, guys. With all of his harmful effects, he's going to be dishing out loads of fear, intimidate, and continuous damage, and he feeds off of harmful effects on the field. Now, as I said before, I'll be doing a phase-by-phase guide. This is a huge overview of the entire raid. We're going to be looking at all of the abilities that each raid boss does, and I'm going to be showing you what that animation looks like so you know what to look out for, and I'll be giving you some basic tips and tricks. However, if you and your club want to master the Forbidden Depths, I'll be releasing a phase-by-phase guide one at a time. I want to make sure I take my time to master it, figure it out so that I can best give you guys the best advice for the best teams, the best spells, and the best strategies to take down each phase. Now, just for some general guidance on phase 1, if you're not able to get through each phase and it's taking you the entire all 5 attempts, feel free to use all of your teams, but buff heavy teams are ones that you want to avoid. Again, like frozen teams are ones you want to save for some other phases. Now, Cozy Club, because harmful effects will be raining down on your allies, these matches go a lot quicker than you think. There's going to be no timer, so take your time and make sure you strategize the right decisions and the right abilities to use on Glut. Cleansers are going to be very important to hang on to. Healers will be a lot more important down the line, but cleansers is a big deal in phase 1. Now, with early testing, Cozy Club, there is one MVP of phase 1, and he's standing out above the rest. My friends, if you watched the video from yesterday, you're not going to be surprised. Davy Jones does some absolute damage in phase 1, mainly because he's got his revive mechanic in the dead man's chest. For whatever reason, Glut wants nothing to do with Davy Jones' chest, and so he's gonna die multiple times, but as long as he's not one-hit KO'd, he's gonna keep on coming back. And so the best strategy, at least early strategy, before we do the phase-by-phase guide is get as many allies on the field as possible, whether it's through Yokai's tentacles, Kristoff's trolls, or anything else. You want to do this because once Davy Jones comes out of his chest, you want Glut focusing on the other allies in the party, allowing Davy to keep on throwing on the Kraken more and more. When he has the black spot on Glut the Shark, all of Davy's zombies and the dead army is going to be doing more damage on him. And then you can also do his first ability that's going to be doing some massive damage depending on how many oceanic villains that you have on the field. So Davy Jones is the early MVP of the raid, but let's focus on Glut's ability so that you guys know what to look out for. So you have Glut's main ability being Chomp. What he's going to do here is he's going to be removing the shields from a target opponent. Now, on each hit that he does, he's going to be inflicting continuous damage. Like I said, a lot of harmful effects coming on here. So if Glut has done his other abilities that we're about to talk about, he's going to be able to extend the Fear, the Intimidate, and the other continuous damages on your certain character that he's doing multiple hits on. And so that's why you want to make sure that it's advantageous to have a cleanser on the team to get rid of these harmful effects as fast as possible. Now, Ferocious Hunger is his next ability. He'll be filling his speed meter depending on how many harmful effects are on the opponents. This is gotta be the worst ability outside of his one-hit KO. He'll be gaining offense up, tenacity up, which is gonna make it harder for you to land those harmful effects. And he'll be purging every single helpful effect from all opponents, inflicting Fear and Intimidate on everybody. So not only are you going to lose all of those buffs that you've had on your allies, but they're also in turn going to get Fear and Intimidate. Now, just in case you guys don't know, I want to talk about this for the entire raid. Fear is going to be absolutely essential throughout the entire raid. What Fear does, it was not important in PvP because harmful effects could be cleansed a little bit easier, but in PvE, which is going to be anything versus someone that's not a live player, you're going to want Fear on them because it's going to guarantee a landing of a harmful effect. So those offense downs, the vulnerables, and the blind, some of those powerful debuffs that you can put on these raid bosses are going to stick a lot easier and get through those tenacity builds if you can put Fear on the opponent. Right here are some characters that can put Fear on the opponents. Lotso's a great one as he has it guaranteed on his basic. Solely, Randall, there's plenty of them that have Fear and they now have a use in phase 1. Frenzy is going to be his next ability. He'll be dealing damage to a target opponent and all of the flanking opponents. Now, this is why it is crucial to have that cleanser, because for each harmful effect on your allies, he'll be adding an additional stack of continuous damage. And so if you have those first two opening debuffs, you've got the Fear and the Intimidate, he'll be adding on an additional continuous damage for each of those. And this really stacks up and kills your allies very quickly. This is what's taking out most people within phase 1, is the stacks of continuous damage that they just can't seem to deal with. And now you can transfer these harmful effects over to Glut with Genie, Goofy, and some of these characters that can put harmful effects on the enemy, but he can and usually does resist these. But early showing is that continuous damage does some massive damage on Glut in phase 1. All right, now looking at the next ability that everybody hates and everybody fears is the one-shot KO abilities. Every single boss within this raid has a one-shot KO, and from the depths is going to be Glut's one-hit KO. And now why this is important is it doesn't matter if Elsa has glacial armor, doesn't matter about Davy Jones' revive mechanic. You are going to get one-hit KO'd, and that character is unrevivable. They are dead. They are gone, and you're not going to be able to use them again. So as we talked about earlier, whether it's the zombies, the trolls, hyenas, whatever it might be, get more NPCs out there to lower the chance of Glut doing the From the Depths ability and one-shotting one of your better characters. Now, if that wasn't enough, From the Depths is also going to inflict fear on all of your allies. Naturally, Glut is a shark and he thrives off fear being on allies on the field, and so every single time he hits an ally with fear, he's going to be doing a guaranteed critical hit. You want to make sure there's harmful effects on Glut. Why so is because he's got increased defense when he does not have a harmful effect on him. So you want to look for characters that can apply those with ease. But overall, Glut has a lot that's going to throw on you. And with Sorcerer's Strength, every single boss has this. They are going to be able to perform additional actions on each turn. They're going to gain speed turn meter every single time you use an ability. So this brings me to a very important note, my friends. It does not matter how many times you hit a boss. It's how many abilities are targeted at that boss in which they will gain speed turn meter. Raids are all about controlling the enemy speed turn meter and having your ally speed turn meter above the raid bosses, trying to get in some extra attacks and extra damage before he can take them out. All right, Cozy Club, let's jump on over to phase 2. Flotsam and Jetsam is one of the hardest phases within the raid as well. A lot is going to be coming at you, but we've got some strategies in place to help you get through this phase a little bit easier while surviving your rosters and not losing them all to the eels. Now, before we get to these abilities, it's important to talk about the new harmful effect that you're going to be seeing in this raid, Poison. Now, what Poison is going to do is be dealing damage per percentage of your max health, and there's no way to cleanse it to get rid of it except through healing. If you do heal a character, they're going to be able to get rid of 1 stack. However, right now in DSA, there's just simply not enough healers on the board to get rid of all the stacks of poison on the field. So looking at Kristoff's trolls, AoE healing from Ariel is going to be great in this phase. However, you also need to save that for phase 3 as well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Flotsam on the left is easily the worst eel to face out of the 2. You can kill just one of them and go in fighting just the other one. And let me tell you, Cozy Club, Flotsam is the one you want to focus. We'll get to that why in just a second, but put all of your strength towards Flotsam and take him down. You can also take them down both together with one strategy that we'll get to in just a minute. But let's take a look at all of their abilities and see what they can do. So starting off with Spiteful Strike, this is going to be doing some damage to one target opponent. He'll be getting poison, with more poison being possible if there's harmful effects on your allies. Now, again, this is the same thing. Harmful effects equal bad, and you want to get rid of it. But this is going to be a phase that you want to bring in both healers and cleansers. Now, looking at this, he also is going to be draining all of the speed meter if the opponent does not have a taunt. And so you want to make sure that whoever he's going after has taunt, or you consistently have taunt on the field. So it's a lot going on. You need tanks, you're going to need a cleanser, and then of course you need healing to get rid of these stacks of poison. Now there's currently not enough healing within this game to be able to get rid of all the poison. You just want to do your best to deter the poison from taking over your allies and then slowly killing them over time. Now, only a suggestion is the next ability, and this is by far in the entire raid the worst ability to go against. Just watch this clip from me live on Twitch with him taking down both my Donald and my Zerg because of the charm that he inflicts. So obviously having a taunt on the field before they can do only a suggestion is vital to not get some of your heavy hitters completely charmed and taken out of the battle. If they have strong basics like Zerg or Moana, you can kiss your other allies goodbye. And what we've started to see is that they favor the right side. If you're looking at it from the back, they favor the right side for the charming. So that front right and that back right are going to be the allies that you want to make sure they don't have strong basic attacks in general. Also, if the Jetsam and Flotsam are both alive together, they get more benefits and they get a little bit of duo synergy by inflicting defense down on your allies as well. Now, Dazzling Whirlpool is going to be a lot like the basic. It's going to be hitting multiple times on the target opponent and having more poison on the field. There's going to be so much poison you're not going to know what to do with, so that's why it's vital to bring in healers on this phase. However, guys, I will be having rolls of the raid coming out very shortly with a bunch of cleansers, a bunch of healers, and a bunch of leaders that you can look and start making teams with what rosters you have in the raid. Now, once you've joined Patreon as a Cozy VIP, I will be going through your entire roster, making sure that you're best set up for the raid, and it also helps support the channel, guys, and very appreciated for it. Let's get to the next one-hit KO ability. Flotsam and Jetsam will be doing Suffocating Vortex. This is just like Chumps from the depths. You'll be getting a one-hit KO, no way to dodge it, so you have to hope and pray to the RNG gods that you do not get selected, or one of your better characters don't get selected. Now, on to the next ability, Brackish Waters. This will be a mechanic to kind of counter percentage of maximum health attacks, like from Horn King, one of the better raid characters. And for the last ability that Flotsam has, other than Sorcerer's Strength, as all raid bosses have it, when an opponent has his speed meter reduced or stolen, so anytime your allies have a reduction in speed meter or is stolen altogether, Flotsam is going to gain speed meter equal to the percentage that has been adjusted. So those are all of Flotsam's abilities, and if that's not enough, you've got to face both of them. Jetsam, being the other eel, is going to be the one you've got to face. Now, looking at Jetsam's ability, he's got Spiteful Strike, which is also going to be doing poison on your allies. Now, if an opponent is affected already by a harmful effect, they are going to be getting more poison and be drained of speed meter by an amount if the opponent is not affected by taunt, just like Flotsam. Now, Jetsam, the reason this matters is because of the ability we just talked about with the Wicked Helpers. This is where you're going to see a lot of speed meter be going back to the eels, and you're going to be seeing lots of turn meter gain from your opponent. So you want to make sure to have taunt up as much as possible so that you don't feed extra speed turn meter to the eels. Now, Flotsam has a very annoying charm mechanic, but don't worry, Jetsam does too with his purging of helpful effects from all of your opponents, just like in Phase 1. If that wasn't enough, they're going to lose all those helpful effects, and in addition, he'll be inflicting Intimidate on all the other opponents. Now, if his friend Flotsam is there too, he'll be inflicting helpful immunity on the target and the adjacent opponents, and has the chance to inflict helpful immunity on each other opponent. And so again, that's why it's important. Try to dedicate where this is going to go. Try to have a tank in the corner to take the hits and have only one of the adjacent members on your team take helpful immunity or take the charm like we've talked about before. So for some quick tips and tricks in Phase 2, make sure you focus on that right corner. You want to make sure you've got a tank there, have a low offense character there, have some of your higher offense heavy hitters in the left or in the middle. But again, they will target the highest offense. But Dash is the MVP of Phase 2, no matter what team he's with. You can do one of three things, guys. You can put him with the Frozen team. He fits very well there, and he can do a lot of damage. Or have support around him, get some tanks in, and build up, attack up, get some guaranteed crit on Dash so that he can unload, heads up, followed by the dash. Or you can pop him in with the rest of the Incredibles that have healing on self. Mr. Incredible has got a great lead that can heal once there's harmful effects on the Incredibles, which is going to happen a lot within Phase 2. And that's going to negate a lot of the poison on the field. Dash plugs in perfectly with this team. So again, Dash is the obvious MVP. But keep in mind, if you're doing heroic or you get to Phase 4, you might want to save Dash for the later phases. All right, guys, we got through Glut, we got through Jetsam and Flotsam. You're pulling your hair out at this point, but now we are inside the lair and we're going after the Sea Witch herself. It's time to take on Ursula. Guys, she's not that intimidating. Also, Phase 3 is probably, in my opinion, one of the more easy phases within the entire raid, and it has my favorite mechanic without question. Ursula, just like in the movie, will be offering you a contract, and you'll have a choice to decline or accept it. Now, 9 times out of 10, unless there's physically no way you can do it, you're going to want to accept this contract, as a lot of them are achievable, and if you decline them, there's going to be some hard repercussions by not accepting her deal. Now, here are some screenshots of the contracts that we know exist as of now. There's probably a lot more out there, but for now, these are the contracts that we know exist. A lot of them have some great mechanics, and this is where some lower level teams can go in and do some high level damage if you can complete the contracts in time. Now, Oceanics and Big Hero 6 are great to use within this phase. This is going to be all about high single target damage and making sure you're well prepared for everything that Ursula throws at you. Now, she has a lot of different mechanics, but one thing that I want to talk about before we get to her abilities is the back left corner. Now, they might change this, but as of right now, the back left spot is going to be silenced every single time at the start of the battle. So you want to make sure Stitch, Moana, characters that don't need abilities is going to start in that back left spot so that they can take the silence and you can go from there. Now, the kit that you're going to see when facing Ursula is going to be a lot like the kit that we'll see when we have her as a playable character. Starting out with her basic Undoing, it's just going to be doing some basic damage, and if she's empowered, she'll be doing damage again. Let's look at the other abilities that Ursula can throw on your team and how to prepare for those abilities. Now, the first ability on the list is a Little Magic. Now, this is really a devastating ability that can do some crazy damage when up against Big Hero 6 or with Maui leads. It's going to deal damage to a target opponent, inflicting that poison that we saw from the Phase 2 of Flotsam and Jetsam. And if she's empowered, she'll be dealing damage to the adjacent opponents. They'll also get poisoned. And if they happen to have a shield, they'll be getting some big damage as well. Now, for the instant KO, what we've already talked about several times, the Poor Unfortunate Soul is going to be instantly defeating the target of Ursula's choice, and it always seems like it's the one that you least want to die. A character defeated in this way cannot be revived, and in addition, any allies adjacent to this person getting completely wrecked by Poor Unfortunate Soul will have the chance to have their helpful effects purged, completely gone, and wiping them completely. Grasping Tendrils is what we just talked about. On turn start, she'll have a chance to inflict silence on a random opponent, or not so random, in the back left corner, guaranteed to activate if this character is not affected by a harmful effect. So you want to make sure that you have harmful effects on Ursula. Having the Little Mermaid or having Prince Eric, he can guarantee put on continuous damage on both phase 3 and 4. So that might be ideal. Her next ability with the pissed off eyes, Vengeance, is going to be how Ursula gains empowered. Pretty much anytime 1% is taken from Ursula, or pretty much you have a good successful round of damage, she'll be gaining empowered, inflicting blind on all opponents, boosting all of the rest of her kit. So if you have Vengeance and then you have a little bit of magic go off, you can call it curtains. It's a lot of damage being done to you and your allies. And then lastly, she does have Sorcerer Strength. Like the other bosses, you cannot stun, sleep, charm, or anything else that seems overpowered on the harmful effects side to shut down these raid bosses. Now that is why, let's talk about debuffs for a second. Critical damage is absolutely vital within this raid to do a lot of damage on the field, and getting vulnerable, offense down, slow, blind. These are some great harmful effects. Look through your kit, look through your roster, and who can inflict these powerful debuffs. All right, we are on the last phase, and this is the phase that everybody is impressed with. The art department, the graphics for a mobile game glue is out of this world. You guys really outdid yourself, and I know every single person that saw this for the first time was breathtaking by what was on the screen. Now let's go ahead and go into the treacherous mouse storm that is the giant Ursula. And guys, this is my personal favorite battle throughout the entire fight, all of the phases. This is the epic showdown. You're gonna have ships thrown at you. The graphics are incredible, like we just talked about. You're gonna be facing giant Ursula and her tentacles. Just notice bubbles and tentacles. There's no way to say that like aggressively. Like if I look at the camera and say bubbles, there's no way I can say that without looking like a child. Okay, let's get to the first ability, Bow to My Power. She'll be dealing big damage to a target opponent and a random adjacent opponent, also increasing the harmful effects on those opponents and putting defense down for a number of turns. Now, before we get to the next ability, let's talk about the mechanics of the fight. You're gonna have one chance to do massive damage, climb up on the scoreboard of damage against Ursula by taking out both tentacles at the start of the battle. Now, you can only do this once, but once you have taken out her big octopus tentacles, she's gonna be staggered, and now is your chance to unleash big heavy damage on Ursula. When she comes back up, it's gonna be devastating, but that is your chance to get the big damage in. But you've got to keep these tentacles at bay. You want to make sure you get them all down. If you did save dash up to this moment, use whatever teams you have left. But when there's one tentacle left and Ursula, just like with Flotsam and Jetsam, do the dash, bounce between the two targets to inflict some heavy damage. So speaking of the tentacles, you have Crushing Blow. Ursula's tentacles will join the battle periodically. Each of these tentacles attack an opponent based on its position. If a number of Ursula tentacles are present, perform the above attack additional times. So she'll be doing plenty of attacks onto the opponents. She'll have a chance to gain offense up for a number of turns and has a chance to gain crit chance up for a number of turns. So Crushing Blow really starts to stack up, and you could say it's crushing when it blows you. All right, Shipwreck is a great animation. She's going to be throwing the ships from the background onto one of your characters and the adjacents, dealing some heavy damage and stunning the target opponent for a number of turns, effectively shutting them out from the battle. So this is where Wand is going to be very important to play with, or some other teams. Looking at Wrath of the Sea Witch, this is a very cool and graphically impressive ability. This will be her one-hit KO. You cannot be revived. This will also, unlike the other phases, deal damage to the adjacent opponents and has a chance to inflict fear for a number of turns on all adjacent opponents. And so again, not only are you getting the one-hit KO, but there's things outside of that that are also going to devastate your team. So a few things to know about the tentacles with Ursula. She'll be gaining bonus tenacity per Ursula tentacle that's out on the battlefield. And in addition, anytime one of those tentacles go down, she'll be inflicted with vulnerable, which is going to be your chance to lay on the heavy hits. Now, Ursula's tentacles receive reduced damage from characters affected by harmful effects, and they can only perform the following attack. Now, I love how this is written. They can only do the one attack. These tentacles can only do one thing, but it's attacking all of your allies. In addition, it's going to be purging helpful effects on the battlefield. If helpful effects are purged, they're going to have helpful immunity inflicted onto them, and in addition, poison. And so you don't want these tentacles to have turns. You want to take them out as quickly as possible, which if you're focusing isn't the hardest thing in the world, but eventually is going to overtake you and your crew. Now keep in mind, each time this character, being Ursula, has a turn, the tentacles are going to attack in addition. So you want to make sure you keep everybody in check. And before Ursula gets a turn, take down those tentacles. Don't get greedy and go after Ursula. And again, once you take her down, you're going to get guaranteed crit up. And that's going to be your chance to do some massive, huge damage. Frozen does very well here. Big Hero 6 does very well. You can use Sensational 6 as a lot of opponents will being hit, and you're going to have a lot of counterattacks that way. This is going to be one of those phases I can't wait to focus on. And again, we're going to have a phase-by-phase guide for all of the raid coming out very soon, being just one off so that you guys can focus on the best teams, the best strategies, and the best spells per phase to best effectively take out Ursula. And my gosh, that is the Forbidden Depths. Hopefully this is a great visual guide and a guide to help you best prep for this new DSA raid, guys. Make sure that you club and you communicate who's going in and when, or at least there's some type of coordination within your club to have the best shot to take out Ursula. And now, guys, hopefully you're enjoying this new content. We can munch and feast on this for a while until the next content comes. I'm excited to keep on figuring out how to best take down Ursula, how to best take down each phase to give every single club out there, whether it's free to play or pay to play, the best chance to win. And one last thing, Cozy Club saved it for the end of the video. About 50% of you guys who watch this are not subscribed. Guys, it helps me out so much with you guys subscribing, commenting, liking the videos. It helps me build guides just like this and keeps me doing what I'm doing. And it's absolutely free. You can just press that red button down below to join the Cozy Club. Be a VIP. Come on in here, join the family, and enjoy all the DSA strategy tips and tricks. And guys, hopefully you enjoyed everything in this guide. We've got a lot more coming out for the raids. And until next time, my friends, stay cozy. Wait, where are you going? Check out this video and this video for some awesome content about DSA and to better prepare yourself for the game and for the Forbidden Depths, my friend. And until next time, as always, stay cozy.